Red Line Logbook here for Wistoria chapter 57. And God, I just want to skip straight to the end, but there's so much good that happens throughout the chapter that I have to just be patient and just wait to the end. So we start off with, of course, Charles. Because he deactivated all the security system throughout the tower, he then immediately just smashes through the wall of the tower and is going straight for Baal. Will and Liana realize that this was actually Charles' plan from the very beginning. He never expected their original plan to actually work by releasing all of the Guardians to then destroy the tower. No. Charles figured the Magiwanda would get in the way, and they would stop that plan immediately. Which is why Charles didn't use the Guardians to destroy the tower, no. He used it to force all of the Magiwandas out of the tower, and then he could abandon all of his own men and go straight to Baal without having to worry about any of the Magiwanda. They also come to the realization that with all the Gothica members going on a rampage, they're the only two left that can actually stop Charles. But they have no way of actually getting to Charles because he's flying away into the tower and they're stuck on the ground. That is until the masked man that has been following Will around finally makes an appearance. And he reveals himself to be Walkner. Yeah, so that masked man that's been following Will around and watching him, even Will has noticed the eyes on him. It has just been Walkner just protecting him this whole time. And it's not just Will. Apparently, multiple teachers, including Professor Edward and Professor Eliza, have also been protecting the students. Apparently, when these three found out that Will and the rest of his class became undercover agents spying on the tower, they decided it would be best for them to protect all of these kids. So Walkner then congratulates both Liana and Will for doing such a great job, and he decides to help them out in catching up to Charles. His pet dragon then lands right next to him, and he tells them, with her, you two will easily be able to catch up, especially if Liana's the one piloting, because she already broke Walkner's record back at the academy. Funny enough, Liana then starts to go completely nuts seeing a dragon, well, Walker's dragon specifically. She even knows her name, Lindy. Apparently, when Liana decided to take part in the dragon race during the tournament, it wasn't just because she knew she could win. Apparently, she did it because she just really likes dragons. And the fact that she gets to pilot such a famous dragon makes her completely geek out. Or at least it did until she realized Will would be going with her, and the only place he could hold on while they're flying at high speed was around her waist. Obviously, Charles is not dumb. He can see them coming, and so he starts firing lasers at them. Liana barely dodges because, once again, she's freaking out about the fact that Will is hugging her. And she finally comes to the realization that if she doesn't calm down, she's going to get them killed. And so she just keeps repeatedly yelling at the top of her lungs. She is a knight of the House of Awanzis. Lindy seems to be intelligent enough to understand human speech and is just exasperated by the fact that Leon is freaking out over something so stupid. We actually go back to Walkner, and we actually get to see why he didn't just take his dragon to take down Charles himself, why he just gave it to Will and Liana instead. Because he could have done that. And it's because he was basically ordered to by Finn to hand the dragon over to Will so he can go see Baal. Walkner was partially against it, but at the same time, he also agreed with Finn that this is something that needs to be done. Which means Walkner is well aware what Baal is. Back to Liana and Will. Liana, finally getting control over her emotions, is now actually catching up to Charles. He realizes that his magic ain't going to be enough, and so he somehow is able to reactivate the security system of the tower, and he makes sure it only targets them. And so the power of the Magiwanda, all of them, every faction, just blasts Liana and Will. The two of them at this moment realized they had no chance of surviving this. They were dead. They had no way of blocking it. There's no way Will's sword could absorb all that magic. This was the end. But, fortunately for them, Sian was there. He summoned his guardian falcon, and this is not the same falcon that he summoned back during his school years. No, this thing is an evolved form that he definitely mastered. It has like this peacock tail, a crown on its forehead, plus a halo. It's like this holy king falcon that stands as the apex predator of the land. And it is able to tank every single one of those magical attacks. So yeah, his training this entire time has definitely been paying off. Sion is vastly stronger than he was before. And so Will and Liana, now protected by Sion, are able to make it into the tower. Speaking of the tower, we then go all the way to the top with Iris and Aaron. So apparently Aaron, from the very beginning, knew that Charles was going to make it to Baal all along, and Charles planned to basically use the Guardians not as a weapon to destroy the tower, but instead to use it as a way to pull the Magiwanda out of the tower. Didn't work, because Aaron is still there, and he could easily stop Charles if he felt like it. I can definitely see why this guy is the king of the tower. He clearly is just the smartest individual in the entire tower. He's got plans on top of schemes on top of other plans, and he's just one step ahead of everyone. But before we get an answer from Aaron if he's actually going to do anything, that's when Finn jumps in, and he basically asks Aaron to stay out of it, because he wants to see what would happen if a sword interacted with Baal, and he's pretty sure Aaron also is curious. And yes, Finn is in fact right, because Aaron doesn't do anything. He allows the situation to be settled by Will and Lyanna. Back to Will and Lyanna, they land right next to where Charles landed, and they enter a secret passage within the tower. As soon as Will enters this secret passage, he feels unsettled. There's something about it that just feels off. But the two push forward until eventually they make it to the entrance of Baal. And when they go through, what they see is Charles staring up at a monster that has been strung up upside down with multiple wands piercing its flesh. Charles refers to it as the King of the Celestial Hosts and the Lord of Destruction, Baal. Yeah, when I saw this, my head just went racing. First off, we now know what the Celestials are, the ones that are behind the giant wall in the sky. For a while now, I thought they might actually be aliens, but no, they're basically gods, or demons in this case, like horrific, monstrous demons. Also, this means that the power source that holds up the tower, that keeps the world safe from the Celestials, is a Celestial. It's unclear if he's a corpse or if he's still alive. Either way, apparently he got the title of king, which means he was probably one of the more powerful ones 500 years ago when the tower was created by the Witch Queen. With this reveal, I have no idea what's going to happen. I figured this is a simple arc. They're going to stop Charles from destroying the tower, stop the release of the Celestials. But with this, I have no idea. Like, this is most likely, this has to lead to something bigger. After all this setup, Charles is most likely going to either release this thing or he's going to absorb its power or something. This arc cannot end off with him just fighting Charles. That's just not going to cut it anymore. Not with this reveal. Something has to go wrong. And unfortunately, we're going to have to wait an entire month to see what happens. But until then, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you enjoy more Wistoria and other big things. Thank you and have a great day.